So the first thing I want to say is my last account got banned for tagging Camel Toe too much. So if you could hit that like button and subscribe so I can get some of my subscribers back, I would really appreciate that. But on to the video. I'm going to start by saying that Trump will most likely take this election. I could be wrong, but I've been corrected about a lot of stuff in the past. Bill Low IQ Maher, James Carville, and many other uneducated liberals are predicting Camel Toe to win. But a prediction is just a guess that comes true, and people play it off as a prediction. If the prediction is wrong, then it is just an uneducated guess. I analyze everything and come to conclusions. I don't call them predictions because I don't just throw out uneducated guesses. But anyway, I'll explain why I'm pretty sure Trump will be taking this election even if it is rigged. For one thing, you can only rig an election to a certain extent. The only reason why Biden won the last election was because there was enough stupid people to vote for Biden and they rigged the rest. That's why the 2020 election was the most unorganized and fishy election in American history. It's not going to be the same for Camel Toe though. Not very many people like her, plus Biden single-handedly opened the eyes of many of the people that supported him that life was better under Trump. I still consider them stupid. I appreciate you opening your eyes, but we would not be in this mess if it was not for the idiots that voted for Biden in the first place. The people in the Democratic Party aren't the only ones that are opening their eyes. One thing people don't talk about is the non-voters coming out to vote because life is hell under the Democrats. Only a little over half of the country regularly votes, which would be approximately 160 to 170 million people out of 330 million people voted in the last election. How do you think they are feeling? I'm sure they are also feeling the pain of the economy, and I'm sure a lot of them are coming out to vote, and I can almost guarantee you that most of them do not waste their time with polls, just like most Republicans do not waste their time with polls. If Trump is ahead in the polls, probably about 70 to 80% of them are Democrats. I have better things to do, and I do not waste my time with polling because polling is completely useless unless you are polling for ideas. So I am expecting a record turnout on votes, and I am also expecting multiple Democratic states to be flipped. So stay tuned and let's see what happens. It's less than 2 weeks away, and I can't wait to see the outcome. I'll probably be live streaming the election either on YouTube or on Twitch, or maybe even both. But let's go ahead and watch a couple clips real quick.
As Garrett was mentioning, Trump is working to protect North Carolina. Let me show you the map from 2020. North Carolina was the only battleground states of the 7 we're watching that he was able to hold right here, coming back to the 2024 map. Now, the Harris campaign is zeroing in on what they see as their most direct path, the blue wall. These 3 Rust Belt states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. They voted together for Democrats in 7 of the last 8 presidential elections, and they carried Joe Biden to the White House in 2020. But tonight, NBC News has new reporting that some Harris campaign officials, look at this, are worried there could be a crack in the blue wall this year. The Harris team is bracing for either Michigan or Wisconsin to be flipped by Trump. If that happens, that would make her road to the White House more difficult, but not impossible. Tonight, we're going to walk you through the paths to the White House, and there are several, but we're going to walk you through the main paths for both candidates to talk about what could happen on election night. So let's talk about Vice President Harris, right? First off, her easiest path is if she can maintain that blue wall that Joe Biden rebuilt in 2020. So she holds Pennsylvania, she holds Michigan and Wisconsin. Look at the number right there, 270. She's headed to the White House. But if something were to happen, like if she were to lose Pennsylvania, then she has to win North Carolina or Georgia, and then she can head out west. Either Arizona or Nevada puts her over the top. But if she were to lose 2 battleground states, like say Michigan, and she just holds Wisconsin, she has to flip North Carolina, she has to win in Georgia, and then she can go out west and she can win there. And if she were having a very bad night on election night, say the blue wall just collapses, right? She loses Wisconsin, she loses Michigan, she loses Pennsylvania. That means she has to win North Carolina, she has to win Georgia, she has to win Arizona and Nevada. She has to win in the East, and she has to win in the West. Again, that's going to be a very rough night for Democrats if that happens, but that's a path for her. Let's talk about Donald Trump now, the former president. He won in 2016. His easiest path on election night would be to win North Carolina once again. He holds North Carolina. He flips Georgia back red. Remember, he lost in 2020, he won it in 2016, and then he wins Pennsylvania. This East Coast strategy, it takes him to 270. But if he can't win Pennsylvania, and remember, all eyes are in Pennsylvania, 19 electoral votes, the most money and the most time spent by these candidates. If he says he wins Michigan and he holds North Carolina, flips Georgia, all he has to do is win Nevada or Arizona, one state out west. If it's Wisconsin that he wins and he loses Michigan and Pennsylvania, it's a little trickier because the math doesn't add up. He has to hold North Carolina, Georgia. He has to win in Arizona, and then Nevada as well. And that's one of the paths that he can get to get over there. The final path, and this is kind of a strange one, is if there would be a tie. And yes, there could be a tie. Let me walk you through how this would happen. If Harris wins the blue wall, she wins Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, she gets to 270. So you're going to say the race is over. Sort of. Watch this. If we go to Trump and we give him the states out west, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, 268, he's still 2 electoral votes short. So what happened? Let's go to North. You see Nebraska here in Maine? They sort of have this Where's Waldo effect. They're both blue and red. What does that mean? Well, they hand out their electoral votes in different ways, by popular vote, but also by congressional district. Let me show you. So as we go into Nebraska right here, you have the popular vote at 2, and then each congressional district gets 1 electoral vote. So congressional district 2, that's the city of Omaha and Sarpy County. If Trump were to flip this, and he won this in 2016, I should remind you, then look at this number, 269, 269. So you're asking yourself, what happens? We're not at 270. Well, here's what happens. It then goes to the House of Representatives. And the House of Representatives would select the president, not the current House, the House that wins on election night. So if Republicans are in control of the House, each state gets 1 vote, and it stands to reason that if the Republicans have the majority, they're going to select Donald Trump to be the president. Same for Democrats. If they win the House, they're going to pick Kamala Harris. So what happens with vice president? It gets stranger. The Senate then picks the vice president. So if the Democrats hold the Senate like they do right now, and if they hold it on election night, they would pick the vice president. So yes, there's a scenario where Donald Trump could be the president, and then Governor Tim Walz would be the vice president, and vice versa. Kamala Harris is president, and J.D. Vance is the vice president. It's completely strange. Listen, this hasn't happened in 200 years with this many states, but it has happened in our country's history. So it's just one of the many scenarios we're going to be ready for on election night. And again, we're going to be covering all this as we head into those 2 weeks into election.
We've got less than 2 weeks to go in this election, and we've been telling you how close it is. Historically close. Closer than ever. But here's the question. What if it's not? All right, CNN senior data reporter Harry Enton is here. And as close as it is,
yes, sir,
and we do believe it's super close right now, that also means that if things change even just a little bit, it's not really close.
It isn't. You know, so we have been talking about the idea that there's going to be a historically close election. I think I might have said it on this particular program, but in fact, will the winner get at least 300 electoral votes? The answer is majority yes. There's a majority yes chance, 60% chance that the winner of this election gets at least 300 electoral votes versus just a 40% chance that the winner ends up getting less than 300 electoral votes. So for all the talk that we've had about this election being historically close, which it is, chances are the winner will still actually score a relative blowout in the Electoral College.
Oh my God, you're making my hair hurt.
Boom.
How can it be that it's so close, but yet still more likely than not that it's a fairly big victory in the Electoral College?
Yeah, so let's take a look at that polling average, all right? So if you look across the 7 key swing states, the 7 closest states, in all of them, the margin right now is under 2 points, under 2 points. But keep in mind, polling ain't perfect, my dear friends. On average, since 1972, in the battleground states, in the key swing states, the average error in the key swing states is 3.4 points. So if all of the battleground states go in one direction, you can end up with a map like this for Kamala Harris, where she wins all the key Great Lake battleground states, wins North Carolina, wins Georgia, wins Arizona, wins Nevada, and she gets to 319.
That's even better than Biden did.
That's even better than Biden did. Of course, it could go in the other direction, whereby Trump wins all the key Great Lake battleground states, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, and he gets to 312 electoral
And
votes.
that's even better than Trump did in 2016.
Exactly right. So based upon what we see with the average polling error and how close the states are at this point, if all of the states move in one direction, one of these candidates could score a relative blow in the Electoral College, win 300 plus electoral votes.
What does history tell us about the possibility of all these states moving in one direction?
History tells us that it is more likely than not that all of the swing state polling errors would move in one direction. So in 2012, 92% of the states moved in Obama's direction. That is, the polls underdid Obama. In 2016, 83% of the swing states moved together because the polls underdid Donald Trump. Of course, we all remember that. And how about in 2020? 100% of the swing state polling averages underestimated Donald Trump. And so he did better than a lot of folks thought.
Alright, so I want to say a couple things before I end this video. First of all, if there is going to be a blowout, and I'm assuming there will be, it will be for Trump. Camel Toe will not, and I repeat, will not win all of the battleground states. I have no idea how they even came into the conclusion that that is even possible. But once again, they are focusing only on the battleground states, not the fact that Trump might be flipping Democratic states. They also failed to take into consideration, like I said at the beginning of this video, that a lot of the non-voters are going to come out, and I can almost guarantee you that the majority of them will be voting for Trump. This election is going to be one for the history books, because a lot of people are going to be surprised at the outcome, and I'll be watching to see if I am correct. But thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.